We brought this to you on Wednesday about Poland and the United States are inching closer to putting a U.S. military base in the former Soviet bloc country. Now, you may remember Polish President Andrzej Duda even joked about calling it Fort Trump. Now, the $2 billion plan could incite a strong response from Russia at a time when the relationship between the two countries is, as we can all agree, strained. To discuss this and more, we turn to Daniel McAdams, Executive Director at the Ron Paul Institute. Daniel, the Polish, what do we have to fear with working with the Polish? I mean, but at the same time, why are we building a military base? It seems like something that we would have done 20, 30, 40 years ago instead of today in 2019.
Well, it's a big deal for Polish politicians that are well connected and for the U.S. military-industrial complex. But, you know, the U.S. didn't start rotating troops in and out of Poland until 2014. The claim was that because Russia annexed Crimea, therefore Poland was in danger and it needed to have American troops there. However, you have to look at the backstory and the context, which is what precipitated the coup in Ukraine. It wasn't the Russians, it was the Americans. It was Victoria Nuland and the others who destabilized Ukraine and forced a Russian reaction to what happened. So the whole thing is really based on a fallacy.
Well, I think it's really interesting to even, and I'm glad you brought in Ukraine, because that's one of the evidence, one of the examples they're using of Russian aggression. At the same time, Ukraine is Ukraine. Poland is not Ukraine. There's definitely a huge difference of it called Europe and the involvement around there. On another note, you have CIA Director Gina Haspel. She got President Trump to expel Russian diplomats last year, right in the aftermath of the Salisbury poisoning in Britain last year. A report says she showed him pictures of sick kids and dead ducks. So is Trump being manipulated by those closest to him and his own intelligence to continue this war and this aggression against Russia? And are you seeing anything, and this is between us, are you seeing anything that would spark that type of response coming from Russia?
Well, Scotty, I'm glad you brought that up because certainly in the U.S., the mainstream media seems to be completely uninterested in this amazing detail that Gina Haspel, his own CIA director, either lied to her president, her boss, or she passed on material our UK partners lied to the president about what was happening with the Skripal case. There were no dead ducks. There were no sick children. It was all made up. When you were deceiving the president, the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military, to that degree, some heads should spin, some heads should drop, but apparently nothing is happening so far.
Well, that's interesting. Some heads should spin. I get it. Even Disney movies have to have a villain. We have to have a villain, I guess, in the world today. I guess that's how we build our military budgets. That's how we justify positive and negative actions. But then now you have the Mueller report. It's come out, and it actually proved that Russia meddled in the U.S. election process. Now, from what I've read, it's mainly through memes on one hand, and they're also talking about potential hacking into the DNC, and got the WikiLeaks, the supposed WikiLeaks leak. Even though this is coming from third-party information, this isn't something because the FBI and the DOJ were never allowed to examine the actual servers at the DOJ. So are we seeing once again another spin by intelligence to try to create this animosity and continue it going forward so that the Americans can have a villain to point at?
That's a great point, and unfortunately Donald Trump is so busy doing a victory lap, he doesn't understand that the basis of Russiagate is still valid, and it actually is confirmed by the Mueller report, which is this claim that the Russians hacked the DNC computers. We don't know that. The only source for that claim was a discredited company called CrowdStrike that was hired by the Democratic Party to do forensics on its computers. It wouldn't even let the FBI look at its computers. This is the basis of Russiagate, and it's a real shame that none of this has actually been revisited by the Mueller investigation. That's what we should have seen investigated.
Well, even to that point, Mueller himself is being criticized for not subpoenaing Donald Trump and sitting down with him, even though Rudy Giuliani said that was never going to happen. But why isn't anybody criticizing Mueller for not subpoenaing, I don't know, maybe Julian Assange, going to the Ecuadorian actual embassy itself and subpoenaing him and trying to at least get the truth of where the source of this was?
Well, Assange, as far as I understand, offered to give this information. He said, the Russians did not give us this information. I'm happy to talk to you and tell you more about it. And they completely ignored this offer, which seems like a huge offer. Who wouldn't want to talk to a witness who has personal contact, personal information that could help. It really doesn't make any sense, and it really makes you scratch your head.
Well, that's the thing, Daniel. We have a lot of positives that came out of this. We also have a lot more questions, and unfortunately, I still don't think we have the full truth and the full picture of what happened with this investigation. Thank you so much for joining us and trying to at least clarify a few points.
We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.